when you have found someone who has the capacity to help you, please don't share your problems. Share your dreams and your goals. If you're not making money, your impact is not substantiated, because one of the ways to measure impact is the amount of money you're making as well. Any result that you cannot repeat, the first one was a mistake. So it's important to understand the meaning of the word confidence. The word confidence came from the word confidere. It means to trust. Trust. So if you don't
Latin word?
Yes. Fidere. That's what the word confidence means. Fidere means to trust, to believe in. So if you do not trust yourself, how would you get someone else to trust you? It's important that you understand that with that confidence, you can elicit other people's confidence in you. Any result you cannot repeat, the first one was a mistake. If you made money last 2 years, and you don't know how to make money this year, the question I ask you, what principles did you follow in the first time? If you don't know what it was, it's a happenstance. Two people can be in the same business at the same time with the same resources, and they have two different outcomes. The difference is in the person's ideological framework about who or she is. See, we all live in the same land. We don't see the same land. We all live in the same world.
We don't see the same worldview.
Yes, we don't have the same worldview. Or not put it this way, we all live on the same earth, but we don't live in the same world. In the same Lagos, in the same Abuja, in the same Nigeria, there are people in this country making legit money from this country who are not fraudulent people.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee Table with me, Ugodre, and this is brought to you by Nairametrics. In case you're just watching for the first time, we do this every other week on the Nairametrics YouTube channel, Nairametrics TV. If you're not following yet, where have you been? Click the subscribe button and, of course, turn on your notifications so that you can watch. And of course, in case you've missed out previous episodes of the Coffee Table, you do want to go back and check. On today's Coffee Table, I want to talk about something that is also very dear to my heart, something that I think is very beneficial for all of us in Nigeria. Every now and then, we go through different stress in this country. As business people, as entrepreneurs, as career people, just different challenges. Challenges of dealing with economic policies, challenges of dealing with government and regulators, challenges of dealing with customers, employees. More importantly, even mental health. Sometimes we just, are down. You don't know how to pick yourself up and how to confront challenges. And this is why I thought it was important that I bring somebody who I highly respect, somebody who is very well respected in this space. I have here with me my namesake, Mr. Ugochukwu Omeogu.
Right. Nice one.
Yeah, it's not all the time you get to talk to your namesake on this show. So when you're hearing Ugo, you're wondering who the hell are we talking to? Okay, so mine is Ugodre though. So, we all know the etymology of Ugodre. So we'll leave that for another day. But I have Ugochukwu here with me. And Ugochukwu is has a very impressive CV. So I'm just going to read it out. So Ugo is a premium business strategist, mentor, and a career coach who has trained and advised institutions all over Nigeria and globally as well, from JP Morgan in the US to the Central Bank of Nigeria and Fortune 500 executives across the world. I'm sure you guys have probably seen his posters in large billboards across Nigeria or flyers on your social media handles at one point in time. Here he is. He's right here with me in the studio. And Ugo is also the founder of Meringos Consulting and Mentoring Limited and the Vivera Business Learning Community. And he has spent over 15 years helping people build confidence. See, confidence. That is just super important in the world today. And he also helps people acquire critical skills and grow sustainable businesses and redefine what success means in the Nigerian context. I'm going to be speaking with Ugo today on the Coffee Table, and we're going to talk through several things that affect you and I as business owners, entrepreneurs, or even employees in this difficult world that we find ourselves in today. But before I start, Ugo, the first question I really want to ask you, though, is something, because I was reading up, of course, we know each other, but I've been reading you up as well. And there's this concept of well-denier that that I think you created.
Yes.
What does it mean?
Well, the concept of wealthineer underscores the character and the honesty and the integrity of people that make money. We have billionaires, billionaires who are criminals. But wealthineer, the foundation being wealth. And wealth is the root word for virtue and value. So wealthineer are those who have character, fear of God, honesty, integrity, who also at the same time have a lot of financial success. But it is rooted on character and integrity. That's who a wealthineer is. So it underscores the confidence you have in who you are and how your virtue and your conscience guides your act of making money. So there's so many billionaires who are criminals, but a wealthineer is a person that has much money, at the same time has his character and the fear of God intact with him.
People have always said it's difficult to find a billionaire who is not slightly tainted one way or the other. I've had to find a billionaire that is not completely, or that is completely ethical. So are there nuances that you're aware of in your definition of a wealthineer?
Yes, and that is actually why the concept of wealthineer is very unique in itself. The drive for money can make people do a lot of unethical things. And sometimes we sleep in our activities, but be conscious of the fact that your ethics is what sustains your identity. Your ethics is what gives a sense of consciousness when nobody's watching and you're still knowing that you're doing the right thing. Yeah, sometimes we slip and fall in our daily activities, but fundamentally, your ethics should be what determines your engagement in the business world. Yes.
All right, great. So let's dive right into discussion. But I want to start first with you, though. You've had a career in the financial services space, both outside Nigeria, I think JP Morgan, also here in Nigeria as well. But why the pivot? Why leave banking and then decide to go into the space of basically mentoring and coaching businesses?
Okay. When I started in the banking, and at some point, I've always wanted to be the one that run my show. I've always been someone that initiates things, get it started, and then finish it. I've always had the knack for pioneering. So my advent into the banking industry, both in the US and Nigeria, at the back of my mind, I've always wanted to do my thing where I can, start the process, finish it. So at some point in my career, I wasn't finding fulfillment in the daily 9 to 5, where what I'm going to like to do has already been predetermined already, that I don't have much space to, change things. So that is at a point where I had to, step out of the bank to start my own stuff. The fulfillment was coming from initiating a particular change from the beginning and then driving that change, so that's what led to it. But that was my consulting companies to train other, companies and help them get better. But what led to the mentoring part was when I was doing training for companies and I had met a lot of directors, people who are at the top of the affairs of companies. When I meet with them, they like what I do. They like my independence. They like the freedom I have. And they started asking me, Ugo, I like not just what you do, but you do it at your own pace. You do it at your own instance, that they would like to learn how I was able to transit from paid employment to now a full career in business in terms of training. So that was what led to my mentoring. It was the demand to learn how I'm able to transit from paid employment to a full business, business owner myself.
Okay, so let's stick to mentoring. Do you hear mentoring a lot these days? I've even seen successful business people who tell me today they have mentors. And I'm like, till now, with all this money you have, you still have mentors? Yeah, man, I have mentors. Some say, look, when it comes to dealing with politicians or government, my mentor tells me do A, B, C, D. When it comes to expanding my business, I have another mentor who tells me, why do you need a mentor? Like, what exactly have you seen, from your experience? What's the advantage of having a mentor?
Mentorship is essential to learning. There are different ways you can learn. You can learn from reading what somebody has read, reading what somebody has written, right?
Yeah.
But that is still far away from actually being with the person who wrote that. You can learn from life experiences, which you may not survive. But when someone has gone through a process and has gone through the ropes and the corners, you actually get the result without going through the terrible experiences the person has gone through. So mentorship is, let me give you a story. When I was in the US, JP Morgan, right? One of the shocking thing we found out when I was in JP Morgan Chase back in the US was that at some point in 2004, 2005, that the Americans were recording 13,000 millionaires every month. I mean, 13,000 startups who have made $1 million mark for the first time. That research led to further research to find out why is it so that more people are becoming more successful at an earlier stage in their business life. What we found was attributed to mentorship in the United States. We found out there was about 4,500 mentoring hubs in the United States, which was responsible for the transfer of knowledge from those who have been in the field for a long time and those who are starting. And what mentorship does for you or for anyone is it takes away, it accelerates your result and reduces your mistakes. What took someone 5 years who is very observant of his or her process can take you 2 years without having to incur the same level of mistakes the person have made. But the thing is, mentorship doesn't take away the process. It simply shows you the right steps. So it's essential in the time, the learning curve for you to get an outcome. It also helps you to save you from unpleasant experiences. It is essential. In fact, life is designed for mentoring as one of the ways of learning.
So, I mean, mentorship has been here with us for a while as well, even in Nigeria. I mean, some of the famed mentorship programs would be, the ones that Igbo traders typically run, and you have different mentorship programs across the country as well. But I mean, you've just mentioned success rate of mentorship in the US based on data. I don't know if you have any such data here in Nigeria, but what I do know is it's usually not that transfer of knowledge from mentor to mentee doesn't always result in a positive outcome for a lot of mentees. So
you're talking about Nigeria?
In Nigeria, example, or maybe even globally. So from your experience, why is there that disconnect? So you can have a mentor who's so good, but you're probably not learning from that person.
So it's not mentorship then.
Ooh.
So the Igbo apprenticeship you're talking about is not mentorship. It's apprenticeship. An apprenticeship has to do with the craft of a particular business. Mentorship has to do with ideology and worldview.
Okay.
If I'm mentoring you, I'm looking into your philosophy. I'm looking into the worldview, your ideology, how you think. Because most times people confuse the apprenticeship model to mentorship model. When you have an apprentice rather than a mentee, an apprentice is trying to learn the craft of a trade without necessarily having to understand your worldview about what you think about life and how life should go. So and the challenge with that is that if your apprenticeship is learning from you, you're actually creating your own competition. Because when he leaves you, he's probably going to open the next few meters away from you, start dealing with your own customers. But when I mentor you, when someone mentors you, he's looking at worldview. For example, you run a business, you have a philosophy of how you run this business.
Yeah.
I mean, Nairametrics is one of the best, valid, authentic place we can get statistics that are verified, right? Now, but it's not just the act of sourcing statistics. There is an ideological framework that is guiding your practice of this particular industry. If I'm under your mentorship, I can learn and imbibe those values and set up a different kind of business, but running it from that frame of thought and philosophy and still be successful without competing with you. So when you have mentees, you produce people who can delve into the other areas of life, borrowing from your philosophy of life. And at that context, when you have a mentee, you can actually invest in your mentees and have equity or shares in their business without them being competition, because they can venture into different areas of life that has nothing to do with the particular trade you're dealing with. So I think there's a very clear distinction between an apprentice and a mentee. An apprentice is focused on the craft of the business. and the mentee is focused on the ideology, sometimes on the craft, if your mentor is in the same business that you're interested in going to. So at that level, there's not going to be any kind of competition. If there's anything, to be collaboration.
So are there any success stories for mentors and mentees, relationships that maybe you've seen in your experience?
Yeah.
Sometimes, particularly locally?
Yeah. For particularly myself, I have some of my mentees who are in the same line of business that I'm doing, but they're collaborating with me. I'm helping them be more successful. There's so many of them in this country, and outside the country, I have some.
Don't you get worried sometimes that maybe they might eat your lunch or something?
No, they are my extensions. They are the means through which I'm still available and relevant, even when I'm old. They are the means through which my values can be extended beyond my physical level. The concept of mentorship is a mentor is actually building his own helpers rather than his own competition. And if you understand the concept of mentorship, you find that you need the mentee more than he needs you. But at the point of helping the mentee, it might look like he needs you. Because that's how you stay relevant, even when your physical body is weak. Even if in the religious forms, if you look at, let me take, for example, for the example of Jesus Christ himself. He's not here physically, but we're still talking about him. And so many other big figures in the world we respect who are not physically available, but they are still present in our lives. We still remember them because it is true mentorship, not apprenticeship. And another example is, so you need to move from being a person of value to being a symbol of value. I explain. A person of value is a person in material body who is providing value for people at the material time. But when you begin to provide value to people and transfer your values and virtues to other people, and they continue to run to that virtue and value in your absence, you become a symbol of value. So symbol of value can live without time, but person of value will die in time. So this body right here, this Ugochukwu Omeogu, someday will go away, and I'll not be here again. But the people I have impacted, through whom my values is extended, will continue to live, which means I'll still be alive, even though you're not in this body, but in the people who are continuing the value that I've started. So that mentorship is deeper than just a piece of time to learn a business. It's much more like a lifetime impact for generations.
So some will say, okay, well, good. So mentorship, mentee relationship in Nigeria over the years, but yet, like, how do we translate mentor-mentee relationship that you probably find in businesses to the political class? And we know how important the political class is to Nigeria. So what sort of values are political mentors today, giving their political mentees, and where can we get it right, if any?
So another point of correction, we don't have a strong mentorship culture in Nigeria. We have godfatherism, where someone uses the life of the young ones to step ahead, where the young ones are not even interested to learn and question the values of the mentees, but rather to carry portfolios.
Isn't there a thin line between that? Like,
it looks like the same. It looks the same. It's the same operation, but it's not the same intention. A mentee wants to live longer and expect a mentor wants to live longer in the lives of the mentees after he is gone. A mentee is someone that is also interested in the value system and the belief system of the mentor. But psychophants are not interested in that. They just want to get the briefcase and get the money and run away. So we don't have a strong culture of mentorship. And any person who has not built any enterprise consciously, whether it's political enterprise or business enterprise, consciously, meaning he is observant of his or her values, why the thing is going on, to be able to document what has worked, to be able to discuss that and translate to the next generation. If you are not conscious about how you built an enterprise and you're not documenting how you built it, you can't be a mentor because there's nothing to share. But if for somehow you stumbled on opportunity and somehow you build an empire around you, which is not funded on knowledge and learning, you will be threatened by anyone who dares to want to take away your position because it is the only thing you have. But a mentor thinks beyond himself. So godfatherism tends to protect the corridors of power for himself. It's more like some kind of dictatorial tendencies to want to not have anyone superior to you, even when you're alive. So what we have mostly is godfatherism. But mentorship tend to think about the next generation. It's been a symbol of value. How can I live longer even when I'm gone? And it deals with legacy. It deals with succession plan. And then if you were not conscious of how you built what you're building, how would you explain what you did not understand? And that's why I say to people, any result you cannot repeat, the first one was a mistake. If you made money last 3 years, and you don't know how to make money this year, the question I ask you, what principles did you follow in the first time? If you don't know what it was, it's a happenstance. Maybe someone in your village or maybe your friend became a minister and then, assigned a particular land or give an opportunity to supply one or two things, and then you made money. He didn't follow laws. He didn't follow ethics. He didn't follow certain principles and rules to get that money. So if you're not creating wealth through laws and principles, how would you mentor anyone? In fact, you wouldn't even mentor people, because the closer they come to you, the more they find out you're just a moron. You don't even know how you got what you got. So you create some kind of facade around you, some air around you that you're somebody, and people cannot really penetrate it, because when they come closer,
they realize you're just empty.
Just a buffoon, like you're someone who appears to be what you're not.
Okay, so are there interesting angle? Are there mentors in Nigeria? Let's even focus on the business community that you say, look, these guys are doing marvelously well, at least from your experience, from some of the people you probably interacted with.
Well, yes, they're coming up now.
Are there names? Are there people? I'd like to know.
Well, I'm not sure I want to mention their names right now. But there are people I know that are conscious of their process. Before, when I came into the country and started building, there wasn't so much of mentors. What I mean by that, there are people who appear as mentors. Okay. Okay, let me give an example.
Okay.
Philadro Toye.
Okay.
Okay. I know he is conscious of his process.
Okay.
I know he consciously wants to help the young people. I know in that context of intention, of wanting to explain processes to the next person and being vulnerable that these people might be bigger than you and you're okay with it, that level of consciousness qualifies such a person to be a mentor, right? Now, I'm sure there's so many other people, but the supply of problem in this country is lesser than the supply of solutions. So if we don't have enough supply of solutions and the supply of problem is fast and higher, it will look like nothing is happening. And that is why also in my own area, I am always 100% big and consciously, massively making big actions to continue to mentor young people, young businesses all the time. And until we have gotten to the point, philosophy drives our actions, we can't have much mentors. Until I've gotten to the point where philosophy drives our actions, we are conscious of our creed, we are conscious of philosophy, we are conscious of ideology. We know why we do what we do, and we know how we do what we do. We can't have mentors. If we leave it on the grace of God alone as a praying country, where when you ask someone, how did you make all this?
It says, Nagodo.
And they say, Nagodo. So, na God run or by the grace of God. I understand. The grace of God is always there for everyone that is made of God. But how are you able to observe and keep track of that, which by the grace of God, you've done over and over the years? If you look at the religious books we have, whether it's Quran or Bible, you see that these are observable principles written down over the years. If God did not himself, by reason of these books, write his own thought down, how could you propagate his religion, his presence? So if we are made in the image and likeness of God, and God is a person that is attributed to learning, why are you not observing your own process and documenting them like the God that made you, to the point that whatever result you get can be entrenched in the annals of our mind and then promoted to the next generations? As a country, I watched a video by Ben Bruce, I think, where he was, making some assertions that even in the House of Assembly, they don't keep the records of what they do. The next government comes in, and when it finishes, he throws away whatever the last government did, and there's no continuity. It also shows you how the decadence in the level of preservation of knowledge. We are not a people who prospers through learning, who prospers through knowledge, into the extent that we are conscious of the knowledge we have while we're using it for the purpose of preserving it for the next generation. Until that level of consciousness comes into African society, we forget about mentorship. It's not working.
Wow. So, I'm a mentee and I'm watching this program, asking myself, how can I find mentors then? So what are the characteristics of a mentor? What should I be looking out for in someone that I want to make a mentor?
One of them is, first of all, to a very large extent, you must recognize some native wisdom in you. You can't come to a mentor without a sense of native wisdom. What that means is you should be conscious of the fact that you want to be somebody of value. First of all, he must be willing to learn. He must be teachable and coachable. That's number 2. Number 3, a mentor does not give a vision. He helps you to interpret one. A mentor does not supplant his own vision over your life. He helps you to find clarity on how to get it done. So if you come to a mentor without a sense of direction, then there's going to be a lot of problem. And most mentors, by definition, are people who are successful to some degree in life, who are observant of their way of being successful. So they will always need help. So you don't go to a mentor because you have a family problem. You go to a mentor because you have a goal, you have a dream. So one of the ways to find mentors is to be clear on what your own life is about. You might not have all the clarity, but know that you have a sense of direction. Know that you want to be someone that's useful or purposefully driven to a particular venture. Based on that purpose, you get to a mentor. I have had so many times I'm speaking in big events and people come to me, oh my God, I love what you're saying. The next, they start telling me their village problem. They telling me how their father got pregnant, a lot of crazy stuff. And I tell them, and I say this, when you have found someone who has the capacity to help you, please don't share your problems. Share your dreams and your goals. That's the first step to say that you want a mentor, because those you call mentors are, if they are truly mentors, means they're successful, means they have built something that can be referred to. They wouldn't want someone who is not disciplined. They wouldn't want someone who is not have a sense of commitment to their own self-development. Okay, that's another point to make there. And yeah, pretty much.
All right, so fantastic. Let's now move into confidence, because that's another realm entirely, and something that you speak very well, at least from some of your stuff that I've watched, online, and some that I've attended personally myself. Confidence is critically important.
Okay. Before you say that, I think I remembered something. Don't subscribe to mentorship to someone whose values you don't agree with.
So you keep talking about mentorship and values.
Yes, because you cannot argue with your mentor. A mentor does not give you advice; he gives instruction, and what you do is to just follow it. So if you have issue with the person's values, don't get started, because you can't be arguing with someone.
So values or ideology?
They're pretty much the same thing. Because when you say values or ideology, it means a frame of thought. It means a concept of life, right? So because and the reason why this is important is that is what drives actions. So there's sometimes somebody can do something that is not logically okay, but ideologically right. Like when you're trying to punish a child who does something right, the child will not like the punishment. But ideologically, you want to drive a lesson. So there's certain times some mentees may get the backhand of a mentor, not in terms of physically, but at that particular process, you might not like what the person is doing, but his ideology is right. So it's easy for you to follow, knowing that these processes may not be as palatable as you want it, but knowing where it is coming from, in the end, he can only act according to who he is. So if you have someone whose ideology you don't agree with, there's no point starting, because the argument will not lead to anything.
So can you have a mentor that, let's say, for example, you don't agree with ideologically on maybe politics or religion, but you agree with him on his philosophy of life when it comes to business? Does that work? Or do you have to have the same ideology with that person across?
Yes, we might have policies about politics and business, but you can't have a different ideology in business and a different ideology in politics. It is one life to live. Either you're a good person or a good person. There's no, people say
no. So for example, let's assume that, okay, like business-wise, I have values of how I run my business, but politically I'm left, or politically I'm right. Okay, so, and I'm your mentee, but politically I'm left, right? But politically you're right.
Okay.
Or maybe you take alcohol, I don't take alcohol. So does that mean you can't be my mentor?
No. Okay, I get what you're saying. So in the context of business and politics, I understand left or right in terms of ideology.
Yes.
But business ethics is business ethics. Business ethics deals around honesty, integrity. Those ones are universal.
Correct.
So you can have a personal philosophy about life and a different philosophy about business, right? Though ideologically, there are also other dimensions of business philosophy that you need to really understand. For example, most people talk about business, And business is 1% of what wealth is. Wealth is bigger than business. Business is about making money. Wealth is about making impact. So people talk about business and money. How can I get money? How can I make my money from my business, from whatever I do? But how much impact are you making? If you're not discussing the impact quotient, you're not in wealth creation. Now, if you look at the bigger picture of wealth, you find that business is just 1 or 2% of what wealth is. Business is the means through which you bring money through the services you give to people, right? But wealth asks you, did you make impact in that process? If the answer is no, wealth says you failed. So until value is exchanged, wealth cannot be said to have been created. There are so many business people who are not wealth-oriented. They can do drugs. They can do human trafficking. They can do a lot of shady stuff.
Yeah. Right? So you're making money, but you're not impacting
positively. That's what I'm saying. So, but that's not wealth now.
Yeah.
So at the concept of wealth, impact is paramount. At the context of business, then money is paramount. But listen, if you're not making money, your impact is not substantiated, because one of the ways to measure impact is the amount of money you're making as well. If you're making impact without making money, it's difficult to sustain your impact. So the cycle of wealth says, how much impact have you made and what economic value did it generate?
Okay.
Does it make sense now?
Yeah, it does.
So if you want to help the world, I want to help the world. But well, the law of exchange, which is one of the laws of wealth, says value must always return to the source of value. In other words, if you are really making impact, people will go any extent to purchase that impact you're making. But if there's alternative to your impact where people don't have to pay money for that, then that impact is not sustainable. Now, people say, well, what about charity? That's okay, because you're making money somewhere else. That's why you're able to sustain your charity. So impact cannot be said to be completed until economic value is returned to the concept of impact, right? But the point I'm making is, in the concept of business and wealth, once you make money from what you've done, that money that you made from your business is not meant to go into expenses for your lifestyle. That money is supposed to go into another type of income-generating process, which is investment, to repeat what the business have done. So when you make money from your business, you've not made profit yet. You've only made margin, which is a differential between the cost of what you've done and the one on top of that. But that margin is not for expenses. It's for the income.
Investment.
Yes. So you make money from your investment. That's why you make profit, right? And then after you've done that, you can say you have completed a cycle of the wealth of the cycle of money in terms of money made. You made money from your business, and the money you made from the business make money again before you can think about expenses. Now, if you have a mentor who does not understand the cycle and who only knows about making money, and he sees the money he's made as income, and then it goes into expenses, you're still going to run aground, because philosophically, you have truncated the cycle of making money and creating wealth in the context. But when you have a mentor who understands that when you make money from your business, that money you've made is not income, is a raw material. The money that comes into your business is also a raw material, because people who are into financing sell money. The same way you put this cup on the shelf of a shop and it is not being traded as a commodity, it's the same way money that you've made in your business is also a commodity in the shop of those who do financing.
Good. Makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if you see money psychologically or ideologically, that once you make money in your business, that's an income. It means the next thing is expenses. But if you see money like coming to your business as a raw material for finance not money coming, you're already generating raw materials. So through your business, you're generating raw materials. What are your raw materials? The cash you have in your business. Then you're taking to the market to go and shop. Who needs to buy the raw materials? Remember my language, raw materials. That the money that came to your business is a raw material for those who have money as their product in their inventory.
So that basically feeds into the concept of making your money work for you, essentially.
That is true, but conceptually, if you don't see it as a raw material, the way you can use it will be different. If you see it as a raw material, your thought processes would see, how do I sell it? So when you're giving it to a bank, you're selling. When you're giving it to a finance house, you're not I'm investing my money. No, you're not using that kind of language. You say, I have money to sell. How much do you want to buy?
How do you mean?
That's exactly what I mean. The same way you have your product and services.
So if I make money now from my business,
you have a raw material. You don't have anything.
So it's a raw material, as you put it, and then I give it to a bank, and I say, okay, I want to invest in a fixed income security. So what would I do? What do I do with the money?
Bank will take it for free. But if you say it's a raw material, your conscience will make you put in the bank and just keep it laying down there right anymore.
So what would I do with it then?
You're looking for who to buy it. So you probably going to investment houses, asset management companies, because you're not selling the money. You're not just dumping it in the bank.
No, but banks also provide those services anyway. So, okay, so I get your concept.
Yes.
So if I'm going to the bank with the concept of maybe going to their asset management rather than just depositing it in the bank, that's your point.
Because you have seen the money now as a raw material that the finance houses put as inventories. You're not seeing it as because the concept is important. Forget the language, investment, making money for profit, but you need to understand it from the concept level to be able to, and then be able to iterate it and use it properly. So I don't make money. I create raw materials for investment houses. So the same way you carry groundnut from the village and they want to give it to people that will buy, the same way when money comes into your business, you see it as a raw material that I have some product I want to sell to you.
Got it. Okay, let's move into confidence building now, which is another aspect of life that you talk a lot about. Like I mentioned, I've heard you talk about confidence. Why is confidence?
I did address the left and right.
Oh, okay.
The political left and right.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can have a different person in politics mentor you who is different from your business. That's correct. But business ideologically is based on value systems, which is universal to all humanity: honesty, integrity, character, credibility. But in the leanings, in political ideologies, there are left and right, maybe liberals and conservatives. Yes, but it's important to factor the mentor's ideology before you submit to his mentorship.
To the mentorship. Okay, makes sense. We've got to find a way to find the balance between that. Okay, so confidence building is something that we talk about a lot. Why is it important to anyone?
So confidence comes
especially someone who's looking to get into business or somebody who's looking to get higher in their career.
Yes. So it's important to understand the meaning of the word confidence. The word confidence came from the word confidere. It means to trust. Trust. So if you don't
Latin word?
Yes. Fidere. That's what the word confidence means. Fidere means to trust, to believe in. So if you do not trust yourself, how would you get someone else to trust you? It's important that you understand that with that confidence, you can elicit other people's confidence in you. And then how do you get trust? Trust means reliability, right? Reliability and belief in your ability to deliver a particular promise. It means the reliability and the believability you have in yourself to deliver on a particular project. What that means is you can't have confidence outside of competence. If you're not able to perform a task, you have confidence. If you boast about confidence without having the corresponding capacity to deliver on a promise, that confidence will be punctuated. It's more like having imposter syndrome. So you need to understand true confidence for what it is. It means to rely on what you have done to prove that you can do it. So it is important to have confidence in yourself as a function of an asset to generate other people to believe in what you can do. Most times, people have this concept of affirmations. They tell themselves, I believe in myself, I have confidence in myself, and they go out there and the reality of life tests what you have. And if you cannot perform on the things you promised, you have lost the confidence, even though you have an idea of confidence. So how do you generate confidence is, first of all, go and try some things, fail at it, do it again, get it right. Then that particular experience that I can do this generates a sense of, for the purpose of the fact that you can do it, gives you the real reality of confidence, knowing that you can do that. And then that could take you to the next level.
But we've also heard of people say confidence probably came from the word con man, right? So we've seen a lot of con men who also exhibit remarkable confidence. And they do this feigning competence. So where do we draw the line?
Okay, so those con men are possibly confident because they know what they can do. Just that their intention was to swindle you. Another person can still know what he can do. The intention is to serve you.
So what are the principles then? So I'm a businessman or career person trying to move the ranks in a very toxic environment. I think I'm confident, or I know I'm confident, or I probably don't even know I'm confident. How do I navigate that with the power of confidence?
Okay, so
just imagine a young chap in an organization, especially maybe in a bank where you have 4,000 employees and you know how difficult it is. But confidence, like you very well know, takes you places.
Okay, so let's look at it. Why would you want to go through the ranks in organization or in business or in politics? 90% of the time, because that's something you're looking for. Okay, let's look at the business part. In the workplace, you want to get the higher ranks, higher promotion, and make money. right? So let's puncture this confidence. First of all, I said is the root word is fidere, the confidence there, the fidence
Trust
there
in
is
yourself.
the trust, right? And I said trust comes when you know you have the ability to deliver on something, right? Then when you don't have the ability to deliver on something and you're acting like one, you have what is called imposter syndrome, right? You're not really all you say you can do. But the calm people you talk about have confidence because they know, they believe in what they can do, the ability to sway you. For example, I give an example of comment. Now, when people pickpocket, I don't know if you've studied that. How pickpockets work. When they're walking in the street, they want to pick your pocket this way, they touch you this way. When they touch you this way, your brain takes notice of this sensation here, but meanwhile, someone is picking your pocket here. That's how they do it, right? So they have confidence in how the human psychology works. This is why they do it. The difference now is that they do it for the purpose of not giving you value. So they call con men because they are fraudulent in their thoughts, but their confidence in their act.
Their ability.
I get my point. That's the difference. Now, the person that wants to go through the ranks, there's one thing you cannot take away from anything you want to do in life. It must start with competence. It is competence that leads to compensation.
Okay.
The word compensation came from the root word compete. And the word compete is where the word competence came from. And the word compete means it connotes rivalry when anytime a customer or anyone has an option to choose from, there's competition already. And I heard this statement people make and say things like, let us not compete, let's collaborate. Let me tell you, whether or not you want to compete or not, life throws competition at you. If you are going to sell this cup right now to a customer, and someone else from another place has to sell another cup to a customer, competition has been created already. And the person the customer will buy is the person that has the competence on how to present those cups to the level that appeals to the customer. The ability to do that is called competence. So it is competence that creates compensation. So compensation means what you receive in return for something. So if you're in a workplace and you're trying to grow through the ranks, your competence must come into as a symbol of your confidence. Your confidence is not really how much you feel about yourself. It's the kind of energy you generate from how you treat people. I'm going to say it again. Confidence is not so much about how you feel about yourself. No, it is how that which you feel about yourself creates the corresponding feel in other people. But if you feel too much about yourself and people feel less, that's intimidation. That's not confidence. Confidence.
So if you feel like you're very good, but people don't see that, people just think you're intimidating.
Yes.
Then that's not confidence.
That's not confidence.
That's arrogance.
Arrogance. But confidence is when your trust in what you can do can generate the same level of energy for people to trust you back. That's confidence. A confidence man walks into your room, he lights everybody up. People say, man, I love this guy. Or, man, I want to deal with this guy. That's confidence. But when you come in with a sense of full of yourself and that generates an energy that makes people feel less, you're an intimidator. You're not a confident person. So one of the ways to measure confidence is how do people feel in your presence? Do they feel better? Did they feel elevated? Did they trust you more? Did they want to deal with you? If that's what you generate, then you're confident. So if a person, and one of the ways you can generate confidence in people, in yourself, is to be able to master a particular craft to the point that you do it for people. Then I say, man, I trust this guy. The last time I spoke with him, he did this and did that. And then next time conversation is going on, they're going to talk about you. So that's how, if you're in the workplace, please learn to hone your craft. Learn to speak about yourself through what you do. Let your work speak for you before people meet you.
But Ugo, how do you explain people in the workplace who probably are not competent in the positions that they're vying for, but through maybe relationship skills or some other innate skills end up still taking those positions? How do you explain that? And these people sometimes do appear confident, but they probably may not be competent enough in the position that they're vying for. But they always get things done. They always seem to move up. How do you explain that? Is that, here people will say it's God or his blessings or his favor. How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's okay, so let's break some concept down. The word grace, people overstretch this thing.
Yeah.
The word grace means charm. The word grace actually means gracias. If you go check the word grace, it means charm. It generates charm when you do what seems difficult with ease. The after effect is charm. Grace is when you show up and do something that appears difficult with a sense of ease. What the after effect of that is charm. People are like, man, this guy is just so cool. Because this appeared to be difficult, he just eases through it. And which means before then, there's some level of empowerment, equipment, some level of competence that you have for you to walk through what people think is difficult in a way that is so easy. And they're thinking, wow, this guy has grace. Guess what he does? He actually did what seems difficult with ease.
So
that's what
does that come with, so is that confidence that you learn, or is confidence that is a blessing?
Yeah.
Because that's what people tend to see. People tend to say like grace is like a blessing. It's not like you. Because sometimes you ask people who have grace in code, they tell you, I don't know, it just happens. Like, I just know that whenever I go into this place, things work out for me.
That's delusion. You see, any outcome whose process you do not observe to repeat is an illusion. If you cannot explain that, call it whatever you want, that's illusion.
Or maybe you just don't know how to explain it.
Then it's an illusion as well. Yeah, that is why there are different levels of knowledge. Let me tell you, learning leads to growth. Any result you cannot repeat, the first one was a mistake. Any result whose process you have not observed, that result is an illusion because you can't repeat it. How the countries who are successful are going to be successful because they have documented the principles and the steps they took. The next generation gets better and better. So if grace means you can't explain it, I don't want that kind of grace. If grace means, it's by the grace of God, and you cannot explain it to me, you can't transfer it to me by reason of knowledge and transfer of knowledge, then what's the point? And that's why those who are charismatic, who have this grace, who built enterprises, and when those people leave, the enterprise collapses, those are fraud. Because the whole essence of our life is continuity. The whole essence of our life is succession. So if grace means that something mystical, something powerful, something supernatural came to your aid, and only you succeeded, and nobody else knows how to replicate it, then you are a fraud in the first place. I don't want that kind of grace.
Interesting. So is there a relationship between confidence and physical appearance? I've heard people also say, look, man, people that are maybe ladies that are beautiful or guys that are maybe handsome or whatever seem to get things, in their way pretty easily. So is that also an illusion?
No. So you have to know how things work. Like I always tell everybody, see, freedom does not come from making money. Freedom comes from learning how things work. There are grace that women have. There are grace that men have. But we have to understand what this grace is. A woman is physically built to attract. A woman will just pass you by without saying anything to you. Her nomenclature is built such a way that attract the attention of the opposite sex. So there are certain things that come to women because they are women. But there are certain results that come to them because they are competent. You should know where that attraction stops. And those are open by your charisma, by the way you carry yourself, by the way the disposition that you have that makes people warm up to you. That's step one. But when a particular task or business is given to you whose competence you don't have, that can expose how that thing that appears as charm is actually just a front end, but is not deeper into the concept of things, right? But then it doesn't always mean that you have to have the competence of everything to get it done. If you understand the two types of thinking, therefore, that's one is called linear thinking and exponential thinking. Linear thinking thinks about what you can do. Exponential thinking thinks about what you can do with other people. I can use grace to open a door and get competent person to get it done under my enterprise, which means I can set up a business that employs other competent people because I'm thinking exponential right now. And my grace and my charm opens the door, and I have a lot of bunch of skillful people around me who goes in and then gets that job done. But it is still given that I'm the one that did it. That's why it's called a company.
So is there a room for people to say, you know what, let me even understand where I play in this spectrum of life. So maybe my own talent or my own grace or my own confidence derives from my personality, right? So maybe I'm just likable. I might not be that skillful, but I'm likable and I know how to use people, harness people to deliver results. Now, there's some other guy who's saying, well, I might not be likable, and I not be, have that, charm, but I'm very skillful at what I do and I can get things done. So do we as human beings need to figure out who are we in this life? So am I the skillful person who gets things done and don't even bother about charming. Because I'm thinking about it from the point of view of founders and co-founders. Because I've heard about founders and co-founders say, look, I have a co-founder, I'm the technical guy who likes to get things done, but I have a co-founder who is the guy who likes to be in front. And so there's that synergy and we work together and we deliver results. So what it then means is that without my co-founder or without any of us, that business probably won't be successful. So in your concept of confidence, is that how it works?
Yeah, so that's what's called founder CEO and executive CEO, some kind of way. Founder CEO, people who are passionate about a particular idea, is rooted in their consciousness that they are one and the same with that idea. If they're not careful, they can mess things up because they always want to be there. But you should be able to know as a founder where structure has to come in, where you know this is my limitation. Now, one of the greatest limitations of people is not knowing their limitation. If you're not conscious of where your limit is, you cannot create your own problem. It's called blind spot, right? So founders who are passionate about idea, very passionate about idea, they can get so caught up in that idea, they will not allow other people to come into it. You should be able to know where structure comes in and takes that idea to level of execution where your presence is no longer necessary to grow the business to the next level. But at the beginning of any founding process, the founder's instincts like a mother nurturing something. And that's why some people might want us to commercialize too quick. You say, no, let's entrench our value first in the system before we commercialize. So yes, you should be able to know where your strength is. And because whatever business you're starting, all of the competence necessary cannot come from one person. It's the ability to know that there's a structure that should be around my idea to make that idea run independent of me, why I'm supplying inspiration, because there are certain ideas that only the founder can communicate so effectively for investors or customers to buy. But once investors are in and customers are in, the process of the customer experience cannot be the founder anymore. So learning an executive CEO and a founder CEO, you can even play in the two because there's a part of the human brain called brain function called metacognition. Metacognition is being aware of your thought, while you're thinking the thought. You can be aware of your limitations and be able to walk outside of it. In other words, I'm here right now. I know I'm talking to you. I'm processing my thought. I can edit my thought, rewind it, take away the one I want. At the same time, choose the words I want to use. Out of my vocabularies, I can have 5 synonyms to express a thought, 5 synonyms, which is words that sound the same, and choose the one I want that appropriately describes the thought that I have. The fact that I'm aware of my thought, what I'm thinking and speaking, means that I'm operating at a higher mind consciousness than any other animal in the world. So you can know what your limitations are. You can now go and learn a corresponding skill to make up for that, or you can outsource it to someone whose skills compensate for the places you lack. Your ability to know that is a higher level of human function. So it's easy for you to let people to come into your business and work with you, knowing that if you work on that level where some other people are supposed to come in, you reduce the level of appeal of that which you carry. And that's why, talking about founders, there's what's called the logic of wealth creation. The logic of wealth creation means the underlying principles and rules for which wealth can be created. Now, with this kind of understanding, you find out that you can be a founder, which is the creator of the business. You understand the visionary of the business. You're able to identify the virtues, the values you want to address, the areas in the market you want to address. You've identified, that's number one. Number two is the entrepreneurship, which is how do I improve that which I have identified to become serviceable to humanity? How do I create services or product out of this particular need that I have identified? That's entrepreneurs. I've seen so many entrepreneurs who are broke. I've seen so many entrepreneurs who are still very broke because they are passionate about their product. They're not passionate about making money out of the product. That's entrepreneurship. It's a human need to improve things. Entrepreneurship is about human need to improve things. If you wake up in the morning and you want to brush your hair, make it look better, that's entrepreneurship. If you take your egg, I want to add other ingredients to make it better, that's entrepreneurship. But there's another level that most people don't have, about 8 of them, 7 of them. The third one is business. Business is how can I make money out of what I do? Not how can I serve people better? How can I improve my service offering is entrepreneurship. How can I make money from it is business. So you must undulate between these dimensions of creating wealth. If someone comes in who does not have a product and knows how to sell it to make money, he's a businessman. He does not have his own product.
Okay.
He understands cash
He
flow.
knows the cash flow.
Yes,
Yeah.
he understands.
Monetizing.
Yeah. You are them. No problem. Just go ahead and create. Call me when you're ready to sell. He understands the human psychology and the need for people to buy. He understands the psychology of how to describe or translate a particular thing to the point that appeals to people to see the need for it. He knows how to differentiate between people's want and people's needs. People don't pay high for what they need because it's existential. People pay more for what they want because it is ideological. You want to buy a big car. You want to buy a Mercedes. Well, what happens with taking keke? Keke is movement. Bicycle is movement. Why do you want a Mercedes? It's because it's ideological. It's a sense of appeal.
That's what the person wants.
Just assure that I'm somebody, right? A sense of success. But what you really need is movement. Take BRT, take train. Get to where you're going. That's movement. But at the point you now want to be seen in a certain way. And that's why those who are selling you at the level of wants knows that at that level you pay anything to get what you want. But you do the bare minimum to get what you need. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So the person that knows this psychology can take what the founder is struggling with in terms of making better and sell it at the way it is at that point. It can be a terrible product, but right branding and all that can make people pay more for that. That's making money. That's business. But entrepreneurs are those who are so passionate about how their business, how their product work, and how you can serve people. People are talking about, so I'm impacting the world. I have the best product in the world. But how much are you making? If you're not making money out of that, which you do for the humanity, you're not a businessman.
Okay, let's move into skill.
Okay.
Right. We've talked about confidence. We've talked about mentorship. Skill acquisition is also very important. Yes. I think it's also something that you've passionately talked about as well. So let's picture a Nigerian youth today who is in this world that is dominated by different technological tools. I remember speaking to a mentee recently, and the person was like, look, we were told to go and read, to study business analysis. We're told to, have some tech skills. But now we're done with it. And then there are so many of us doing the same skill, who have the same skill. And now we can't even get a job. Or even when we can, AI is doing it. So for Nigerian youth today, what sort of skill do you think they should have?
Okay, so do you know you can be skillful without being competent?
You can be skillful without being competent. Yeah, sure.
But you can't be competent without being skillful. So if I know how to couple this microphone and put it together and take the wire and make sure everything's in place, that's skillful. But if I don't understand the knowledge, the principle of how I put it in a particular position, if I can't explain the level of pressure I have to put it so I won't break it, if I cannot understand the composites, the kind of compositions or component that for which this is made, and know not to put it under a particular temperature so it doesn't break, then I'm not competent. So a competent person is a person that understands the knowledge behind the technicalities of what he's doing. There are so many skillful people who are not competent. I'll give you an example again. If you drive your car into an auto workshop, and then you drive in and your car has a problem, you have mechanics there. You also have engineers there. Engineers are those who sat down in engineering school for 4 years, understanding how a car is designed, the principle behind automation of cars. They understand how different parts, for every car, there's about 10 to 20,000 different parts that make a vehicle. They understand all of this anatomy on how a car is conceived, assembled, and built. They understand it. They understand the auto brake system, that part, that your tire that has the brake pad that has automation around it, they're what's called automatic braking system. You understand there's certain technology there that if you take away the fuse, it affects how the RPM of the car rotates. He understands those things. And then someone comes in who just knows that there's a tire and there's a four-wheel and there's a knot, and that's all he knows. The technology behind the cars, they have no idea about that. Those two people are two different worlds altogether. Now, if you take your car to the engineer who knows how a car is built, who can actually build one, and two things he would do. Number one, he would charge you for diagnostics. He would charge you for letting you know what is wrong with your car. That's number one. You can take your car to any other mechanic to fix. He can even recommend what the mechanic should do and in the format they should do it. The mechanic will implement the diagnostic of an engineer. But the mechanic is going to be paid less because the knowledge of how to understand how that car is built, he doesn't have. So the mechanic is skillful in coupling the physical parts. The engineer is competent because he understands how this part come together, in what dimension, and also knows how to couple them together. So which one of them are you talking about now? The skillful part? Most people are skillful. Only few people are competent. So at the competent level, knowledge drives the skill. But at the skillful level, observation drives the competence, the skill. Just seeing someone coupling cars, coupling things together, and that's all you know. But if something goes wrong outside of that, you can't say anything.
So your point basically is that it's okay for you to have a skill, to go to school, maybe become a computer scientist or become an accountant. But what gets you going is the knowledge.
Correct.
It's you understanding the process behind that thing. So for example, you want to be a tax consultant, you're not valued if what you have in your head is the theory of what you were taught in school. So your value comes from the practicality
of the
and understanding of those theories.
Correct.
And how you're able to apply that in real life experiences.
Yes.
I see.
So which means you can take charge as things change, as things evolve, because nothing in life is static.
Yeah.
So that which you've learned can change in time, in practice, and then you can be able to observe what has changed and then make a conclusion to the next level. If you can't make those differential changes as things age or improve, you're not competent. You're just skillful. And you'll be obsolete in time.
So is there time lag or timeline between when you acquire theoretical skill and then when you start to gain that competence? So imagine a young graduate. Okay, so he's skillful, gone to law school, first class or 2-1. So you've learned the skill. So how do you then move from being skillful?
So you don't have to go to school
competent?
to get skills. You can just go to a mechanic workshop and stay there and lose bolts and hammers and just observe and all that. But if you want to get competence, you have to go into the level of study to understand why is it called a hammer, what are the ounces of pressure you need to put, in what dimensions and areas you can use hammer in different areas, what is it made of. Once knowledge comes, once theories or knowledge comes, researchers come into the equation of learning, then it's no longer skillful, it's now competent. It's another level, what's called theory of epistemology, where the knowledge comes from. How do you acquire knowledge? How do you modify it? What is it for? Who can be considered knowledgeable? So what are the parameters to measure that somebody's knowledgeable? For example, if you get a result, you cannot repeat it. That was a happenstance. It's not by knowledge. The only way to track that you have knowledge is you can repeat the result. As situations change, you can modify. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to draw a clear distinction between skill, which is technical know-how, and competence, which is driven by research and knowledge for which you can practice. An example, a medical student who graduates from school after 6 years has first class in medicine and shows up in the hospital. I'm going to ask you a question, Ugo. And he has first class in medicine. He has never operated on anyone. Everything he has done was during class and he came tops, and you are now on an operational bed. Would you like him to operate on you?
Hell no.
But he has first class. So he still has to go to housemanship. Now stays in this theater with a full consultant, and there and he says, give me the scalpel, give me the scissors. So he's now observing the actual theories in practice. The combination of the practice and the theory come together to create competence. So the average Nigerian person or African child, based on our culture, we are not research driven as a people. We are more like folk tale type of people. Folk tale. We want to pass knowledge from mouth to mouth. We don't document.
Without documenting processing.
Yes, because it's only that's been documented that can be improved upon. It's only that has been documented that can be tracked. If there's no document about what we have done yesterday, how can we improve? How do you even measure what has worked before if there's no reference document to make reference to? Now look at this. You see ChatGPT, AI. Most Africans are the consumption part of it. Who are the people writing these codes?
Writing the codes, yeah.
Where are the guys writing
training,
these codes?
training the algorithms.
Yeah, who are the one initiating the software capacity to initiate the way we can do this and do the lab test of what needs to be done. But it's after they have launched these softwares. Everybody talking about AI. It's consumption theory. You know, how to consume what those initiators have created. The people who generate these softwares are on a different level of competence. Matter of fact, I have a new word now. It's called Mindetance.
Mindetance?
Yes. It's your ability to use your mind to create what you want and find competent people to get it done so you don't have to get it done in the process. So you create something in your mind, you find competent people, they get it done. But competence means you have to be physically involved to get things done with knowledge. But mindetance means I can design a whole new world and find people who have relevant competence and I transfer that thing to them. I say, go figure out how to do it. They go figure out how to do it. I stay in my realm of imagination and create more and create more and create more. And then the more ideas I have, the more I give it to them to get it done.
So the world needs more people with mindetance.
Mindetance. Now, that's the God level but I'll still be said I'm the one that did it.
Interesting. Wow, we've done 1 hour already, and we should be rounding off now. But I don't want to end without talking about business strategy and growth. And we know that's very important to businesses, especially in Africa. And you've worked with various institutions, NLNG, CBN, Mobile, some of the big guys, even some SMEs as well. So from your vantage point, what strategies would you say separates successful businesses and then the ones that fail, particularly businesses that grow, steadily, and then the ones that fail? Now, for context, you've seen startups that are taking a lot of money early, promising, have some of these things that we've talked about, or still end up failing. And then you've seen some who probably do not, but still end up very successful.
Okay. So the number one thing that I can say about strategy is identity. In other words, who is in the strategy? Strategy in itself does not work until you tell me who is behind it. There are banks that have failed in this country, but banks are still succeeding. You're only hearing about the startups that have succeeded. What about other startups that did not succeed? Beautiful ideas. So here's the thing. You see, let me ask you a question. Strategy.
Okay.
How do you catch a rabbit?
Probably dangle food to it, what it likes eating.
Right. If I ask that question to a lion, what would the lion do?
Eat me.
If I ask the same question, how do you catch a rabbit? I ask that question to a lion, what would the lion do?
I don't know.
The lion?
Yeah, probably give me the rabbit.
Right, get the rabbit, right. If I ask the same question to an eagle, what would the eagle do? If I ask the same question to a snake, what would the snake do? So how do you catch a rabbit? Depends on who's involved. So your uniqueness of your identity affects how a strategy is implemented. So at the very least, let me define strategy. Strategy is finding the most effective and efficient way to get result in the shortest possible time with least effort and least resources. I'm going to say it again. Strategy is finding the most effective and efficient way to get result or produce an outcome in the shortest possible time with least effort and least resources. In other words, strategy is about getting result and getting result on time at a low cost. So if someone says, I have an income of $10 million, it's not going to faze me. I'll ask you, how much did it cost you? It's possible some people spend $9.9 million to generate $10 million, which means the actual margin is $100,000. Someone can still spend $1 million and generate $10 million, which means the cost of the generation of that $1 million is $1 million. So both of them have revenue of $10 million, but the cost is different. And the differential in the implementation of strategy is the unique set of talent or skill or insight a particular person who is implementing that strategy has at that material time. And that is also why two people can be in the same business at the same time with the same resources and they have two different outcomes. The difference is in the person's ideological framework about who or she is. See, we all live in the same land. We don't see the same land. We all live in the same world.
We don't see the same worldview.
Yes, we don't have the same worldview. Or not put it this way, we all live on the same earth, but we don't live in the same world. In the same Lagos, in the same Abuja, in the same Nigeria, there are people in this country making legit money from this country who are not fraudulent people. One of them is you. You've been there for a long time. Nairametrics is, as I was coming there today, I asked someone about, do you know Nairametrics? It's a young person, yes. I said, what do you know about them? They said they give us facts, authentic facts. It's a credible source of information, right? But there are people who can also, get into the frenzy of fact. I don't think you are much more into the breaking news as you are into the factual news. Does it make sense? Breaking news has to do who first tells the news.
Tells the right
but
news.
I think, from my experience with following you, is you're one of my sources of information, actually. When I see your name on it, Nairametrics, I consider it already verified. So you've saved me the stress of going to so many fact checking because you're a credible source. But that can also be tied to your kind of person. Maybe you are more of someone who has integrity at the core of who you are. And that's why there are some places, I'm sure that sometimes you have lost on a particular news because you want to make sure your facts are right.
A whole lot of times.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So it deals more with the individual ideology about who you think you are. It affects how you implement strategy. But however, on the strategy part, simply put, is finding the most effective and efficient way of getting result in the shortest possible time with least effort and least resources. But all of this process I've talked about right now is dependent on the unique identity of the person, your worldview of what should be and what should not be. And that taps into your uniqueness. In my life, I love wisdom. In fact, my first degree in the university was philosophy. It was my dad that talked me out of philosophy and asked me to read accounting. In philosophy, I had first class. I struggled with accounting. So as a child who does no bill, when I asked him, what do you want to read as a young child? I feel philosophy. My dad said, how are you going to make money from that?
Yeah.
So he's thinking in terms of how am I going to make money, my employability, right? But I'm thinking in terms of what gives me, what makes me happy,
who you are.
What makes me, do you understand? So, but when I got into the banking, do you know I have made more money in my life through teaching that I've done through banking?
Through banking.
Because why? It taps into my philosophical angle, which taps into my essence as a man that loves wisdom. Does it make sense?
Yes.
So in Nigeria, you have to, from the angle of the uniqueness of Nigeria and their peculiar circumstances, find a way through your unique essence of how you can deliver the same product everybody does in a way that makes more sense to your person than anybody else.
Okay, so I know we're out of time, but I want to ask this. So you mentioned in your definition of strategy, in least possible cost, right? Is there a way of defining that? Is there a way of quantifying it for different businesses? How do I know what's the least possible cost? I mean, I'm trying to create this. How do I know that my strategy is developed in a way that I am achieving my objective at the least possible cost?
So there's what is called morphological analysis. Morphological analysis is to break everything into small parts.
Sort of like what Elon Musk does here.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe something like that.
That's what I heard he does.
So you break things in small parts. It's in small parts you can know what part contributes to the bigger picture, to know where to put your energy into. So in the morphology, big problems become small steps. So in the number of steps it takes to solve a problem, which one of them contribute the highest value? Which one should we put more energy into? For example, I'm rebranding my value now. I'm rebranding my value. For example, I don't do training. I don't offer training. I don't offer mentorship. I don't offer coaching. I offer transformation. What I sell is transformation. But I offer them I deliver transformation through mentoring, coaching, training, and services. But my ultimate goal is transform. So when people come to me, they can't come to me in vacuum. They must come to me through a process. That process is called mentoring. It's called coaching. It's called training. But the actual issue in this whole process is
transforming the person. So if you haven't transformed that person, you haven't succeeded.
So yeah, there's so many trainings, mentorship that's not going on. But what do you look out for is transformation. Now watch this. Now, in this concept of being able to define an intangible, do you know how long it took me to understand that what I do is not mentoring, training, and coaching, is transformation? How do you know what I mean? Now, I know that transformation can only happen when an individual participates in his own change process. So there are assignments you must do. There are activities you must do for that change to be permanent. Because if you did not contribute to the processes that led to your outcome, it cannot sustain that outcome. So it determines who I choose as my client, as my mentee. So if 10 people are going to pay me, this person pay $10,000, this pay $50,000, this pays $100,000. And $100,000 person will not come to class, will not do the assignment. I will take the money of the $10,000 person who is going to practice what I'm going to teach, because his result will reach more people than this person that pay me $100,000 for who is not going to read or listen or do anything, because transferring that money to me does not give you the result. So if you send $100,000 to me right now, you still have not changed. So in this understanding, you find out that where I put my time, on the surface, it looks like this guy is a better client, but I won't have any reference point to make that this person's life has changed. But The person that has $10,000, but whatever metrics I had to find out, because I do what I call pre-mentorship class. In that pre-mentorship class, I determine the person's need for growth. And I see that you're teachable and coachable. And I give you some assignment. You do it and return it back to me. And you do your IEP, Independent Educational Plan. And you come up with an idea of when you're going to start reading and studying. It shows me this person will be more better advocate for me because I don't have a business card. The only way through which people get back to me is when they see the people whose life have changed. So in this context, which one do you think is a better client for me, strategy-wise?
Yeah, the person that you transform, that shows transformation.
Yes. So when this person says, Mr. Ugo, transform my life based on these parameters, people will come to me without even to question me again.
Exactly.
They will pay already. If I tell you, well, the actual price was 100,000, it was discounted for 90%.
Fantastic, guys. This has been an amazing session on the coffee table today with my namesake, Ugochukwu Omeogu. Ugo, we've come to the end of this very amazing session, but I want you to look at the camera and speak to somebody out there. 30 seconds, just a message. What do you have to give?
There's so many things you're looking forward to do in your life whose foundation you don't have yet. It is important that you go back and understand the foundations that leads to a result that is sustainable. There are so many noises out there. People are telling you different things, different classes, different mentorship classes. All of those things cannot happen without you having the subject knowledge of a particular areas of life you want. So take some time. The same way people go to medicine, law, engineering, they take time to learn the basics. Take time out to put yourself through the crucible of learning so that whatever outcome that comes out of that, you can sustain it. And any result that you cannot repeat, the first one was a mistake.
Any result you can't repeat, the first one was a mistake. We're going to come back on the coffee table this time in 2 weeks' time. So it wasn't a mistake. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Love you,
Thumbs
man.
up to you.
Yes, right. Thank
All
you.
right. This has been a coffee table. Until we do this again next time, do have a profitable day ahead. Bye.